All right, today we are tearing down a next-gen authentication system called NETKEY. And its goal? Well, it's pretty ambitious. To build a defense that structurally, from the ground up, eliminates some of the most common and dangerous cyber attacks we deal with every single day. So, let's see how they plan to do it.
You know, to really get why we need a new system, we have to start with a question that, let's be honest, we all know the answer to. Are passwords fundamentally broken? Yes. They're a pain to manage, and worse, they are the #1 weak point that leads to almost every major data breach and identity theft out there.
And this image, right here, just perfectly nails the problem and the solution. On the left, you've got the old way, knowledge-based security. It all depends on something you know, like a password. But our brains are the weakest link. They're forgetful, they're hackable. On the right, that's the big shift. It's possession-based. It's not about what you know, it's about what you have, your physical device. That phone becomes a unique hardware key, turning it into a vault that is just by its very nature way more secure.
So how does NETKEY actually leverage this? Well, it all starts with this simple but honestly revolutionary idea that's designed to just completely remove that weakest link, us, the human, from the equation. It's a concept called zero typing. And it's exactly what it sounds like. The entire system is built so that you never have to manually type in a password or any other sensitive info. Now think about the impact of that. One of the oldest tricks in the book is keylogging, right? A hacker records your keystrokes. But if you never type anything, well, what's there for them to steal? Nothing. The attack becomes obsolete. And this is the perfect way to visualize it. We're not trying to build a better defense against keyboard hacking. We're just making the keyboard totally irrelevant for security. This isn't some patch or a quick fix. This is what you call privacy by design. You engineer the threat out of existence from the very start.
Okay, so if you're not typing, what's actually going on under the hood? Let's break down what the source material calls the security DNA. These are the two core components that make this whole thing tick.
So at the very heart of the system is the NETKEY itself. And you can see here, it's not one thing, but two. It's a fusion of a one-time token, which controls time, and a side ID, which controls the path. And when you bind these two things together, the system can automatically shut down two of the biggest threats we face: replay attacks and phishing. Let's dig into each one.
First up, we've got the one-time token. This gives us what's called time integrity. Every single login request creates a token that has a very, very short fuse. It only lives for 60 seconds. After that, as you see here, the data packet basically self-destructs. This is an absolute killer for replay attacks, where a hacker steals your login data to use it later. With this system, even if they manage to grab it, by the time they try to use it, poof, it's already expired and totally worthless. Now for the second half of that DNA, the site ID. This is all about path integrity. And honestly, this is just so smart. The server doesn't blindly trust where a request says it's going. Instead, it uses this site ID to physically force the connection to the one and only one pre-approved real URL. So even if you get tricked into clicking a phishing link that looks perfect, the system just ignores the fake destination. It's like the server grabs the request and says, "Nope, you're going to the real website, and I don't care what that shady link says." It makes those sneaky man-in-the-middle attacks pretty much impossible. So you take this security DNA, and how does it all come together in the actual login process? Well, the system runs every single login through what it calls a 6-step integrity engine. Think of it as a security gauntlet that verifies everything, and it all happens in just 1 to 2 seconds. And here's the whole process, laid out. It's just a masterclass in efficiency. Over on the left, Phase 1 happens in less than half a second. Step 1, NETKEY creation, which we just covered. That stops the replay attacks. Step 2, device binding, which locks that key to your specific phone, making session hijacking impossible. Step 3, the relay, which forces the connection to the real site, killing phishing. Then we jump to Phase 2. Steps 4 and 5 are the back-end authentication and confirmation. And finally, Step 6, the handshake. This is a last-second geovelocity check to make sure the login isn't coming from 2 places at once. The whole thing, end-to-end, is over in less than 2 seconds. It's incredible. This defense matrix, man, it just brings it all home. It perfectly maps every major cyber threat directly to the specific piece of the architecture that neuters it. You've got man-in-the-middle attacks, stopped cold by the URL relay in Step 3. Session hijacking? Nope, device binding in Step 2 takes care of that. Replay attacks? That 60-second token from Step 1 makes them useless. It's a complete, airtight defense system built right in.
But, what happens when things go wrong? Because they always do, right? A truly great system isn't just about succeeding securely, it's about failing securely. And NETKEY is designed with these autonomous fail-safes for exactly those worst-case scenarios.
For example, what if you lose your phone? We've all had that moment of panic. Well, look at the first panel. The second you report that device is lost, bam, its unique hardware key is immediately and permanently blacklisted. Any future login attempt from that physical device is just dropped on the spot. That compromised key is now a digital brick.
Okay, now check out the middle panel. What if a hacker tries to get clever and use a fake or a modified version of the app to trick the system? Well, an integrity hash check runs automatically, and it can tell instantly if the app has been tampered with. If it has, its ability to even receive a NETKEY is disabled. The system basically sniffs out the forgery and slams the door shut.
And finally, this one feels like it's straight out of a spy movie. On the right, we see how it stops remote attacks. The system does what's called a geo-velocity check. It compares the IP address at the start of the login with the one at the end. If it sees an impossible jump, like a request starting in Seoul and finishing in New York 1 second later, it knows something is wrong, flags it as a network anomaly, and just kills the session. So, when you put all of these pieces together, the zero typing, the security DNA, the fail-safes, you end up with a system that finds this really delicate balance. It's an equilibrium that for a long time in cybersecurity people thought was impossible to achieve. And that balance, it's built on a foundation of trust. It goes back to that privacy by design idea. As you can see here, your sensitive data, like your phone number, is never stored or sent in its raw form. The system only ever uses what are called non-identifiable cryptographic hashes. Think of it like a one-way digital fingerprint. It minimizes all data collection, only using the absolute bare minimum needed for secure authentication.
And this bridge, this image says it all. This is the perfect equilibrium. For decades, the rule was simple. More security meant a slower, clunkier, more frustrating experience for you, the user. But this architecture flips that on its head. It delivers military-grade, hardcore security inside a login process that takes 1 or 2 seconds. It proves you don't have to choose between speed and strength anymore.
So when you boil this all down, what's the real takeaway? It's a powerful and simple idea. The future of our digital security doesn't lie in making longer, more complicated passwords we can't remember. The real future is in building systems where we don't need them at all.